lot to talk about. I have a list, but yeah, exactly. I like the face. When did you? This Inside Out is fucking awesome.
Oh, thank
I'm gonna
you.
drop the F-bomb on it because it's so good.
Oh, thanks.
When did you realize? Oh my God, this movie is so good.
Well, the way I got involved with it was I went to Pixar. This is in 2010. I said, "Can I just go and visit Pixar and just go and do a tour?" And I went and I met Pete Docter and Jonas and I knew who all these guys were because I'm just a big fan. So I sat and had lunch with them, and then they said, we're working on something right now. It's top secret, and there's a part of it that has a kind of live television element to it, which was the dream. Now I later found the dream production scene, her nightmare, whatever. And I went, oh, I'll go on. And I said, you guys should come to SNL. They wanted to pick my brain about SNL. I said, just come to SNL and hang out for a week. So Ronnie Del Carmen and Jonas and Pete Docter all came to SNL. It was a Scarlett Johansson Arcade Fire show, I remember, and they hung out all week. And then they said thank you so much. And then they, by the end of the season, said, why don't you come out to Pixar and hang out and hang in our story department. And I hung out, and then I got to help, in the story department on Inside Out. So I worked with this guy, Josh Cooley, who was kind of my boss on that. And Josh Cooley and I and some of these other guys are so talented, kind of just talked about the story, and it was a totally different place. They had the idea of the emotions and the little girl and all that, but they didn't. It was a totally different story. There wasn't hockey. I don't think it was about moving. It was this other thing, and we kind of worked on that, and it was kind of like how I am at South Park. I don't really do any physical writing. It's more going like, yeah, that sounds great, or maybe you could try that. I don't know, but it's more like, you guys are geniuses. I'm like, thank you for allowing me in the room, and then they said at the end of that week, they go, well, we have all these characters. Do you want to go into the booth and just improvise as these characters? So what would joy sound like? So I did joy and fear. I did all the emotions. I did different takes on them. And they go, that's cool. And this is 5 years ago. Great. Thanks, man. And then I flew back. And I just thought, well, that was the coolest thing ever. I got to spend a week at Pixar. Unbelievable. And then Jonas called me and said, this is great. We were listening. We like your fear voice. Would you want to come and you want to play Fear in the movie? And I was like, yeah. So it seems like that was the whole part of the plan, but it wasn't. It just kind of organically came together. And so a year went by, and then they came in, and I did an official record, and they figured out the story. And Pete pitched it to me. And the way he pitched it to you is he would say, well, here's a picture of my daughter. And it was his daughter, the little girl. Look how happy she is. She's ruled by joy. And now here's my daughter when she's, 12 or 13, and she has her hair in her face, and she's all, so when did this happen, And he walked me through the story. And just his pitch, his PowerPoint pitch, made me cry. Just the pitch, him just walking me through it, I started crying. And so that's when I realized I was like, you guys are just, it's such an amazing thing with those guys that they are, I remember saying, you're a true artist. Like they're, it's like a part of self-expression, but through a big family kind of, movie. But it is such a personal story, and it is kind of, that's the way Pete works, which I love. It's like Up. It's like, I don't know, this guy, and he's got balloons, and he has balloons to his house, and he just wants to get away, and I don't know, this is just how I feel. It's not at all pandering or kind of going, well, this is what people want to see or whatever. It's just such a form of, his own, it's like he doesn't know where it comes from,
Yeah.
And that's what's so brilliant about it, But they work on these things for like 5 years.
They make good movies.
They make good movies.
They really do.
Pixar guys. Yeah, I wanted to see I wanted to go there and go, what's the secret? These movies are so great. And the secret is they work really hard every day for 5 to 6 years.
I wanted to ask you about working with Spielberg and BFG. What was that experience like?
It was insane. I was freaking out the whole time. It's I can't talk a lot about the movie, but I will say work with Steven Spielberg is just the nicest human being on the planet and such a great director, and he's really with you, and when you do a take he likes, he goes, great! He just screams really loud. He's so into the acting and what you're bringing to it. And also, as a film nerd, I would be on set, and I would go, how many days did you go over on Jaws? And he's like, 100. And I'm like, what was the hardest scene to shoot in Jaws? He goes, I know exactly, and he'll just sit and tell you everything, and then he'll, he knows I'm a big movie fan. We're like, he'll just start talking about films, and he'll tell you insane stories about, Stanley Kubrick and going on the set of The Shining, and I mean, but I could ask him any question, and not only would he answer it, he would answer it enthusiastically, and it's stuff that I've wanted to know since I was like 7. How'd you do the Ferris wheel in 1941? Here's what we did. He gets so excited. He's like, oh, here's what we did. We took the thing, and it's a model, and then this guy, and he always gives people credit, which is so sweet. Now these guys, I talk about the movie Always because I love the plane sequences in Always. It's great. And he's like, Joe Johnson, who's now an amazing director. Joe Johnson shot these amazing, plates and amazing flight things, and miniatures and everything. So he's just the prime example of how you should be as a human being.
I've heard that from everyone. My last thing for you, I know that you enjoyed Mad Max.
Yeah, I did.
Talk about how much you talk about.
I like Mad Max so much that my wife and I went to go see it, and it started, and she said, this is not my kind of movie. And then it ended, and she said, I want to watch that again. I go, yeah. She goes, no, I want to watch it again, like, right now. And we went out, got back in line, and went and saw it again. And I've seen it 4 times in the theater.
Is this one of your favorite films of recent memory?
I think it's the best action film in decades. I think it's the best action film in decades.
Yeah, I'm blown away by the film.
I am too. And people, when they say, I understand when people go, it's not for me. I totally get that. But it's the first film in a really long time that I'm almost like guarded if people go after. But I think the person who said it the best was Matt Stone from South Park. I go, did you see Mad Max? And he goes, yes. I go, what did you think of it? And he's like, going to see it for a 3rd time. I'm wearing a suit. I think he's like, I'm going to wear a suit. Yeah, so.
That's actually amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I got to go.
All right. Good
thank you
seeing
so
you, man.
much.